What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Brandon, and because we just recently finished the mobile welding rig / toy hauler, the phone is starting to ring and people are wanting work done, so this has prompted me for this video. If I'm going to be doing mobile welding, I kind of have to have a power source, so I've got to service my generator. That's what we're going to be doing today. Stick around. So this is what we got, guys. I don't know a whole lot about it other than I know that it has low hours. It was given to me a long time ago. This has not run in 10 years. This is the model. I've never heard of it, but it's got electric start and it's literally been sitting outside uncovered. This should be an interesting project if it even runs whatsoever, because this is going to be the power horse for my mobile welding setup for now. I'm not going to do an engine drive just because I don't want to deal with the size, the weight, and the space that it's going to take up inside the trailer. So this is going to kind of give me the best of both worlds for the work that I want to do. So I guess one of the first things we got to do is maybe check the filter, make sure that it turns over, make sure it's got oil in it. We're going to have to replace that. I do have a battery for it that I picked up. We're going to definitely have to drain the gas because it has some gas in it, but it smells like turpentine. I think this generator is old enough that it probably has regular non-ethanol gas in it. That's what I'm hoping, that it's old enough that it doesn't have ethanol fuel in it, because if it does, this carburetor is probably pretty screwed up. We'll open it up and take a look and see. It should be fairly quiet. It's got a pretty large muffler on it. Look at the size of that muffler. Pretty good size. It's got a 14 horsepower motor. Don't really, again, know much about it. First, let's see if it even turns over, if it's locked up. Oh. Yeah, turns over. So it's not seized, so that's a good thing. And the reason I'm showing you this, guys, on a welding channel is because these are some of the things that you may be interested in doing for your welding business. And I'm just showing you ways of things that I'm having to go through in this process to get it done. Oh, that's a good sign. The filter's been oiled. And surprisingly, from what I see, the carburetor doesn't look too gunked up from here, at least. We've got an ultrasonic cleaner that we can run the carburetor through if necessary. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea anyways. I'd be surprised if we don't have to do it. Like I said, carburetor's been sitting for 10 years. Definitely going to need new fuel lines. These are all rotted and dry cracked. It's been sitting so long, guys, that these are hard rubber tires. They don't even take air, and it's completely flat, as you can see. So I got a new set of tires for it. But before we go too far, let's look inside the gas tank and see what surprises this may bring, because this could be rotted right out, and that could be a big problem. Hopefully this thing isn't all crusted up. You see down in there? Let me get a flame so we can see. Wow, guys. I think my theory may be correct. I don't think that this has ethanol fuel in it, because if it did, then this tank would be rusted. So this probably just has regular gasoline that's gone bad. It smells like turpentine. It's got some floaties in it. Can you see the little floaties down in that? I think we'll put an inline fuel filter, but you know what? There's no rust in that tank. And that was my biggest concern. We got to get this old fuel out of here, so I'm going to have to find a storm drain or something to drain this into. So here's the fuel line coming off this, guys, and it's going down somewhere into the carburetor, but I can't tell where. So what I'm going to do is pull off this filter holder piece. Then that'll allow us better access to see where the end of that hose is. Then I can disconnect it off the carburetor and drain it into a jug that I can dispose of. Hope you guys know when I make those little jokes about draining stuff into the storm drain and stuff like that, I'm just joking. I would never do that, because why would I want to contaminate my water that I drink? It doesn't make... And why other people would do that is beyond me, but I do know that people do that stuff. Not good. We're probably going to want to just take the carburetor off and clean it. I can't imagine that the carburetor has been sitting for 10 years and it's clean, but I don't know. I'm pretty shocked that the gas tank was clean. See if this petcock even works. Well, I'll be darned. What I'll do, guys, is put an inline fuel filter off this before it goes to the carburetor. That way any of that garbage that's inside the tank will be caught and captured in here before it gets into the real fine jets of the carburetor. I can't believe that this fuel petcock actually works, because inside of here there's a little rubber diaphragm, a little rubber O-ring, and for that O-ring to still be good after all this time is pretty amazing. And I'm thinking, rather than try to start it, I can say it's probably safe to assume that the carburetor is going to need to be cleaned. So let's just take it off, clean it, and spare ourselves that aggravation. I'm a little optimistic about the carburetor. It's from Japan, and anybody that knows carburetors that are built, or pretty much anything that's built in Japan, is usually pretty good quality. And I assume I can probably get parts for it. This is the part I always look forward to, because you get to see how gross the carburetor was inside, and then you can clean it up. Huh, not too bad. I've seen a lot worse. Pretty filthy down in the middle, but nothing I don't think we can't probably clean up. The needle right here, stuck right inside the carburetor. Definitely wouldn't have ran. Well, I guess the only thing that we can do at this point is throw it in the parts cleaner and see if we can get that jet unstuck. See what that does. So apparently these are a fairly good carburetor. I did a little research and saw that these carburetors installed on certain Honda engines. I guess if it's good enough for them, probably be good enough for us. Dump some water in it. This is just regular hot tap water. I'm excited to get these things done, guys, so we can go out and start doing some mobile welding with this thing. But in order for me to do that, I kind of got to have a way to power my welders. So now we're just going to dump in some simple green. That looks good. Looks like it's on for 5 minutes. Let's go for 10 minutes. Look, it's starting to raise it up. Hopefully we can get that needle out of there. So I got it set for like 10 minutes, 60 degrees Celsius. I think that's right around 140 or 50 degrees. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes and see if we're any better now. While that carburetor is over there marinating, let's check the oil in this thing, see how bad it is. We'll end up changing it, but I'm sure it's probably pretty dirty. See how gross. You can kind of see through it. Give you a little bit of an idea of the color of the oil. It's not, it's not crazy black. It's actually fairly clean. All right, the buzzer just went off for the carburetor. It's all done marinating. We'll let this finish dripping, and we'll go check out the carburetor real quick. Well, that looks a lot better. Well, yeah, that's pretty clean. That looks pretty nice, guys. Check that out. Bowl could use a little bit of work still inside, but we'll let that sit a little bit longer. No. Right, it just finished another cycle, this time at 70 degrees Celsius, and yeah, it's hot. Look how clean that looks, so guys. Whether or not I can get that float, that's the actual float valve. Whether I can get that out, I don't know. I'll tell you what, these ultrasonic cleaners are incredible. I think this carburetor is probably just too far gone. Oh, did it go? Then I'm stripping it. Alright, it's now the next day, and although this ultrasonic cleaner does a great job, it's definitely not a miracle worker. It can only get things so clean, and we could not get that jet out of the bottom of the carburetor. There was a couple issues that it had, so I went ahead and ordered a brand new carburetor for this. Should be here this week. It was like $52 with shipping and tax right to the door. The new carburetor has a new solenoid valve and everything all installed on it, so it should be a lot easier. So while I'm waiting for the carburetor to come, I'm going to add some oil to it now, and I also got a new spark plug. The plug in it actually looked pretty good. I'll show it to you when we get ready to do it, but It had some Chinese spark plug in it, and I am swapping it over with the NGK equivalent. So we might as well get the spark plug. Oh, what's that? The boot's broke. Looks a little dry and crusty. I might have one of those laying around. I'll have to look. I had this out yesterday, just checking it to see how it was running, and it actually looked really good, but I just wanted to get a new one just so that I know that it's fresh and it's good. You can check out the color there. You can see it's running super good. Here is our new plug. This is the NGK equivalent. And I went to my local automotive parts store to pick it up, and he goes, yeah, we've had this plug for a while. Look how old that box is and how faded it is. Who knows? Probably they don't even make this plug anymore either. I got some coils from when I replaced some stuff on my Suzuki. Oh, look at that. Is that the same thing? Looks it. I think it is, guys. I think that might do it. And that's nice and pliable. Let's try it. Oh yeah, that's the same thing, guys. It even has the little rib on it. But let's cut this back and put a new fresh end. See how this has like a little screw terminal down inside there? Let's make it fresh on the end of this plug wire. Oh yeah, we'll get it back to nice new copper. So now it's fully insulated all the way from the end all the way back to the wire. So now with this all fresh and new, that's one thing we know that we don't have to concern ourselves with at all. Nice connection, nice insulated, we're good. This thing doesn't roll for beans, so I picked up some new wheels. I can't remember where I got them, but these are a solid rubber as well, and it says max weight capacity 220 pounds, so that's each. So I'm hoping, these look about the same size, I'm hoping we can just take these tires off and stick these ones on it, because this thing doesn't roll for beans because it's got flat spots everywhere. Looks like the same size shaft and everything, guys. Wow. Lucked out a little bit on that. A little bit of a gapola right there. So that'll be easy, guys. Found some washers. We'll just build it up a little bit. There we go. Throw one more on there for good measure. Then we'll put on some grease so we don't have to fight it the next time if we ever got to take it off, or whoever the next person is that has to deal with it. There, that's a little better. Now we got that swapped out. Now we can spin it around, do the other one, and then put oil in it. It's nice to be able to lower and raise this table though, guys. Getting stuff, heavy stuff like this up on the bench and off the bench. Now let's try to get this old rusted wheel off. I sprayed it with some PB Blaster, so hopefully it'll help. Yep, it did. There, done. That rolls way nicer now. I think we're ready to start putting some oil in this old girl. Calls for 10W30, so that's what I got. Says it takes a quart plus 1 ounce. Probably hard to see, but that is right to the filler neck, and that's where it should be on this stick. We know this isn't going to start because it doesn't have a carburetor on it, but at least we can put a battery in it and try it and see if the starting system at least works, if the solenoids are working. So I've got a Duracell Platinum. It's an AGM battery, and it's 180 cold cranking amps. And I didn't buy it for any particular reason. It's what they had, so that's what I bought. Battery connections are secured on there. Now we'll put the battery hold down strap on it. Then we'll give her a little bump over and see if it's gonna start or what's gonna happen. I'm kind of curious to see, because like I said, it's been outside for a long time, so probably the solenoids are all stuck or won't work, or I can't imagine it's gonna be something simple, you know. Never is. Now we know it's not going to start because we don't have a carburetor on it for one, and we don't have a gas line hooked on it for two, but I am curious to see if it'll at least turn over and if the solenoids work. I've got a pair of wire cutters handy just in case something sticks or it decides it wants to burn up. That way I can at least cut the battery off it real quick and we don't have to worry about a fire. And I got a fire extinguisher right behind me. Turn it on. Alright, so the starter's turning over, but it's not engaging. So we'll pull the starter off, probably just needs to be lubricated. Before we go getting too far into this, an old trick back in the day, when you're poor and broke and you can't afford a new starter, you just used to get out and bang on it. You guys know what I'm talking about, some of you will. And this worked for a carburetor too that also would always flood out and you couldn't get a rebuild kit for it. Get out and bang on it a little bit and that always fixed it. Ready? Maybe she's just got a bald spot in the ring gear. Let's try to turn it over a little bit. Looks like some critters might have gotten up in here, this area, and built a nest. So I'm going to open that up as well. See what we can see. Clean that out, vacuum it up. Oh yeah, little critter got up in there. Made himself a little bit of a home. The teeth on the ring look really good. It's just that the starter's not engaging all the way, so what I'll do is I'll back the starter off and see what we need to do to that to free it up. And it looks like there's only just two 10mm bolts that hold that in. There we go. We got one more down here. There we go. Now we'll just have to take the wires off the starter so we can inspect it. Yeah, I guess it's not a super big deal if I got to start it with a pull cord, but kind of defeats the purpose of having a battery. And plus it's nice when you're when it's cold out and things don't start good or whatever to just have electric start. Press a button, especially when you're old like me. Well, I'm batting 1,000, guys. I took the starter off and just tried cleaning it and did a bunch of stuff to it, and it still does not engage. We're committed. We're going to get it done. And the flywheel does look good. I spun it all the way around to make sure that it wasn't missing any teeth. Been a couple days that's gone by. I've picked up some fuel line with an inline fuel filter, and I've got a new starter that I ordered. So we'll see if this fixes the problem of it not turning over. All right, guys, here's the original starter that was on it, and I just put the new starter on it, and it was doing the exact same thing. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't engaging. As I was saying down in there, the starter wasn't engaging the flywheel. So then I got out a booster pack, thinking maybe it didn't have enough voltage to the battery. Tested it, and it was just a little over 12 volts, like 12.1 or 2. So I hooked this up to it, and then it started making a beeping sound, almost as though I had reverse polarity. What had happened was I had this battery reversed because this side here had a black cap on it just to protect this during shipping, and this side had a red cap on it. And I remember when I put the battery in, I was a little disappointed that this label wasn't facing out. I had to face it in. So long story short, what had happened was that this charger was telling me I had reverse polarity, and then upon closer look, the battery actually has a plus stamped there and a negative. It just was identified wrong on these caps. Completely my fault. Once I spun the battery around, hooked it up so that the positive wasn't to the negative and the negative was to the positive, now it spins over just fine. Check it out. So that original starter, there was probably nothing wrong with it at all. So now I have a spare. I cannot believe I did that, guys, but that's what happens sometimes. My head gets going. I'm thinking 15 steps ahead from where I'm at right here, and I'm thinking about where this is going in the trailer and what we got for upcoming jobs. So I'm really not paying attention. Well, that'll teach me. Hopefully I didn't do anything to the inside electronics and internals. Fingers crossed that I didn't, but I'm just glad that we have this together and we know it works. Now I'm going to end up with a spare starter because we can't return the one that we bought. When I bought this battery, I've been super careful to not get the black and red caps mixed up, because this is the same battery that we were using in the cargo trailer to temporarily power those lights. So I was making sure that the red cap stayed on the same place as we had this battery when we got it, which was over here, and that the black cap was over here. Not really seeing that in the top of the battery it's actually stamped plus and minus, and that somebody had reversed the caps at some point along the way. I'll know better next time to check. Hopefully we haven't damaged anything. So now all we've got left is to install the carburetor, put in some fresh gas, and hopefully this thing works. I've got the meter, we'll test it out. So we got the new carburetor here, guys, and this is the newspaper that I pulled out of the packing, and I just thought it was kind of funny. Check that out. So clearly it's a big deal over there as well. And I'm not sure the date, maybe March 10th of 23. Contact the law office of young men. Young men. So this is the one we're comparing it to right here, and we'll see if it's got everything that's similar to it. It's got gaskets for it. That was good. So it says, I don't know if you can read that it was designed in Japan. Doesn't say it was built in Japan. Unlike the original one, it says standard of Japan. But it looks to be the same one, and it's got a adjustable pilot mixture screw, which is kind of nice. Everything is bolting back on just like it should, guys. Pretty impressive, actually. Stick this back on. Alright, now it's time to put in the filter element, and I'm just going to spray it with some foam filter oil. This will just help trap any of the dirt, and you can see it's kind of, if you look at it on my gloves, watch, it's kind of like sticky. So this will just help trap any dirt and dust if we're working around dusty conditions, which most of the time when you are welding and stuff, very seldom if ever are you just standing on concrete doing it. You're usually in, you know, dusty conditions, so this will be good to help keep all the dirt and garbage out of the carburetor. Now we can just tip this up in there. There we go. There. Get on some new gloves, because this stuff is like, you see how it kind of stringy. Now we'll close up the cover. Just about ready, guys. Gonna put some fuel in it, and we should be good to go. I'm getting excited. So this way's open, this way's choke, and we'll turn on the gas valve, and we should see fuel come down, which we do. There it goes. Okay. We'll turn on the choke. I got the exhaust hooked up, venting out the exhaust outside, and I've got my meter close by so we can test to see if the outlets are putting out power. It's choked. It's wanting to start. Let me turn off the choke. Guys, I can't believe it. This thing's been sitting for like 10 years. Unreal. And it's pretty quiet. I'm impressed. So even the idle was obviously right, because it's putting out 122 volts or so right at the plug. So we know it's making 120 volt power. Now we'll have to test the 240 volt receptacle and see if it's putting out power over there. Shouldn't need the choke, I wouldn't think, but I'll turn it on. What a relief this is, guys. Like I said, this generator's been sitting outside for 3 years, uncovered. Didn't even have a cover on it. Snow piling up on it, blowing on it. My grandson yarding on wires that are underneath it. So I'm just super happy that this thing is running, and it's running good. It seems to be really reliable, and it's pretty quiet. Now all we got left to do is put this thing to work and start going out and taking on some mobile welding projects. New videos every Friday, so I want to thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, God bless. See ya.